This was not the first time, though, when this issue came in front of me, that we've sort of dealt with the Forestry Service, and we got to clarify. This was pointed out at the Snowbird Club. It's not the local people that are bringing this down on it. This is many levels above, but it's not a new conversation. 10 years ago, there was a proposal to turn Sleeping Bear Dunes into pre-Columbian primitive designation. They literally were talking about pulling every single road out of there, and limiting access to the lakefront and all these other things. And Dave Camp and Pete Hoekstra at the time got together and along with Bart Stupak and said, hey, this isn't a direction we want to go. So there's been legislation that's been getting worked on for the past 10 years. It's probably going to be something that I'm going to be introducing that bill shortly to really lay out some parameters. But we see this, whether it's in Michigan or whether it's out west or other places. There's sort of an encroachment, in my view, of hunters' rights and recreational rights, and we've got to push back on that. And that was one of the reasons Dave Camp, myself, and Dan Benishek, who's the new congressman from the 1st District, we all signed a letter during that comment period. Hopefully you all sent your letters in, right? And they weren't the form letters. We want to make sure that they're getting individual letters. But we sent out our letter in saying, hey, this was not a direction we want to go. We don't think it's the right thing to do for the American people. We want that access. And I knew from my time working for Pete how important tourism dollars are. And it's whether it's in the summertime, whether it's in the fall, whether it's in the wintertime, or in the springtime. You all up here are very dependent. Where's our owner? He went back in. He's tending business, but it's places like this that are dependent on making sure that we've got people, whether they're downstate or out of state, coming up here, spending their dollars, those recreational dollars, and guess what? For them to have that, they need a job, and they need a paycheck, and they've got to have enough security in that to feel good about coming out and spending those extra dollars, and that's how we're going to keep the economy going up here. This is vital. This is a lifeline, and I just looked at this and said, why in the world would the federal government, contrary to what we've been doing with Pure Michigan, showing snowmobiling and recreational opportunities in the summer and the wintertime here, why would the federal government come in and put one more hurdle in front of everybody? It just doesn't make any sense, and that's why I decided to do this little 2-day run as part of our district work period and try to highlight it. It's been working. We had 9 and 10 coming out and covering us. I did 5 radio station interviews on the drive up this morning, and we're hoping to just shed some light on the issue, not just here in Michigan, but around the country. I was talking to somebody from the Wall Street Journal earlier today, talking about the town hall meetings and what we were doing, and I thought it was pretty unique doing it on a snowmobile, coming into a snowmobile club and having a conversation with local people. But what we're hearing is pretty consistent, And I think for us here in Michigan, especially, it's been such a tough decade that when we start talking about we're overspending, we're overextended, and it's time to pull back, a lot of heads start nodding. People start saying, "Yeah, you're right." And there's other parts of the country that haven't gone through quite what we've gone through in the last few years, but it's really vital. And I'm not going to bore you with a whole bunch of charts and stuff, but a couple of them that we just have to take a look at. I mean, these are our deficits. What we've been going through. This is 04. Hey, 9/11 happened. It caused us to have some real hiccups in the economy. Obviously, putting troops on the ground in Iraq and in Afghanistan it was very expensive as well. But we were about that $400 billion mark, kind of bouncing down around 07. We had a bad year up here. We were a little over that 400 in 08, and then boom. This is right where we saw the economy falter. And my family business, concrete, man, it was like end of September, October of 08. It was like somebody turned the spigot off. It was just done. Trucks did not move. And this is all the TARP dollars, all the bailout dollars, all the things that we've been doing. Well, the budget that the President just submitted is talking about lowering the deficit, lowering our annual spend. Well, we're at 1.4 trillion. You know how many zeros there are in a trillion? You guys that were there at the earlier one, you can't answer this one. There's 12 zeros in a trillion. So write out a trillion sometime. Well, we're at 1.4. We're going to be growing up to 1.5 here. Maybe down there, they're talking about revising this 11 number back up to above $1.5 trillion. Just to put it in perspective, if you were going to pay off $1 trillion, $1 million a day, paycheck I'd take anytime, $1 million a day, and you're going to pay off $1 trillion, it'd take you over 3,000 years to do that. That's what we're doing to our kids and our grandkids. And it's just morally not right. So the lowest that we see is in 2014. It's going to be about $780 billion that we're in the red, and it starts climbing. Here's where it gets really scary. And as you can imagine, Lauren, as my communications person, she's on me all the time. You got to Twitter more. You got to talk to me on Facebook, all this other stuff. Well, I was in a briefing with Paul Ryan. You know who Paul Ryan is? He's the chairman of the Budget Committee from Wisconsin. Well, Paul Ryan has definitely been a deficit hawk. And he was doing this presentation. It was a presentation on the continuing resolution, basically the CR, you might hear it called, about the current fiscal year, our current budget. It grew from that into the President's budget, and it grew into what's going to be really coming down the pike as we're putting together our budgets as well. Well, I started twittering like crazy. I got back to the office, and Lauren and a few of the others said, "Wow, what happened to you? You got inspired." And it was, I didn't get inspired so much as I got scared. And here's what I got scared about: this hockey stick right here. This is the trend that we are on for long-term debt, and it's going to be the entitlements with Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. But here's the other fourth element of that: servicing our debt. We have put so much on the national credit card. It's going to grow into our second largest expenditure. Is just to pay the interest on it, and it's absolutely unacceptable. This is World War II. There are times in history where we've gone above where our GDP is, where our total GDP is. When we're in the middle of the war, that was one of them. We did it with bonds. Came down, was percolating along. This was when we were dealing with Clinton and driving down some of the deficit, and it's just started to really hook up. And we cannot let this happen. We just simply can't let this happen. We are getting very, very close to what they're seeing in Europe. And I asked this question earlier too. The pigs. Who knows what the pigs are? Portugal, Italy, Ireland, Greece, and Spain. These are countries that have suddenly sort of inverted. Their GDP is less than what their total debt is. Our federal government's getting dangerously close to that, and we just simply can't do that. So that's become more and more of a passion of mine as I've been out there in Washington the last 7 weeks. We've got to tackle that beast. That means we're going to all be in for some really tough decisions, whether it's at the county, local level, state level, or us at the federal level. And but one of my friends said, "Hey, we can't kick the can down the road any further. We've just run out of road, and it's time that we face things." But let's happy to take a couple of questions if anybody wants to know anything about what we've been doing.